Hello and welcome back to Love and Meaning, a podcast. It is I, Christelle Robinson-Tiedemann, and today I would like to talk about something that might be unpopular. I'm not sure. But I've learned some techniques for manifestation from the most wonderful and amazing coaches in the whole wide world. So if any of you are listening, please know that I love you very much. And this is not in any way a disclaiming of anything that you teach to be incorrect. I believe that there are many different ways that people work, and my greatest of teachers have always encouraged me to develop my own teachings or kind of ask questions. I think this is excellent in all areas of life to have critical thinking. So anything that you learn, take it through your own medium, the medium of your body, the medium of your own heart and soul and mind, and take what works for you and leave the rest. So something that did not work for me, and it took me a while to just kind of admit to myself it didn't work for me. And I used to kind of beat myself up about it. And that is this concept in manifestation that, so in order to, let's say, attract money, right? Because this is really about abundance and prosperity. So in order to attract money, I was taught many times to let's not focus on the amount, okay? This I agree with. I agree with this. So don't focus on the money itself necessarily, unless that like just feels delicious and wonderful to you, then go for it. But for someone like me and for many people, it actually just triggers anxiety, inadequacy, a lot of my stuff that I have wrapped up around money. So in order to get on the vibration of money, think about what would you feel like if the money was there? What is it that you think the money is going to bring to you? So why do you want the money? Okay. So why do you want the money, the prosperity, the abundance? What is the reason? What is it that you think you will gain by having it, right? You don't just want it for having it. You want it for reasons, right? So for me, it always came down to freedom. Whenever I did this exercise, I would write down freedom and some other things. And then the idea is to imagine, and imagine in an extremely visceral way. So feel into your body. What does that freedom feel like? What does it feel like? Generate the feeling in your body. Think of things that help you to experience freedom, and or whatever the thing is that you said that money felt like. You know, a lot of people say safety, I don't know, expansion, happy, blah, blah, blah. So those things are true for me, but the real one was freedom. It was like the sense of choice and limitlessness. So I would do the exercise, and then I would try to generate in my body and think about the feeling of freedom and what it felt like. And I would try to think of things that I did that felt like free. So I think about how my best friend and I would like swing on the swings, because I loved swinging on the swings. So I would just kind of think of that feeling, and it felt nice, but it just didn't do for me what I saw it doing for other people. It'd be like, oh my gosh, I understand. I feel it. Da, da, da. I didn't, I didn't feel it. I felt like, well, this is like a cool feeling, but nothing in me felt like that's what it would feel like with the money. I don't know. Like it just didn't ring true. And it reminds me of a similar concept with affirmations. So when it comes to affirmations, a lot of times people do affirmations in terms of just stating the thing that you want to be in an I am statement. So for example, I am rich. So you just repeat the affirmation, and it's kind of like, if I convince my subconscious that that's what I am, then I'll step into it. I don't believe affirmations work in that way, because I'm actually much more triggered into negative feelings, which I can feel fully in my body and therefore attract through because I'm having a full body experience of it. But when I think I am rich, there's a part of my mind that's just like, well, you're a big fat liar. So, okay, great. Keep saying that. Good on you, saying lies. So a similar feeling would come up for me when I be in this mode of generating this feeling, this feeling of freedom, and think of things that make you feel free. Like I have unlimited water. So every time I drink a glass of water, I feel so free, but I don't. I don't feel that. I feel quenched and I feel grateful. I'm not sure freedom was it. So I just kind of left that alone. So what I would do is just move away from the exercise. I didn't spend a lot of conscious time thinking like, oh, how do I accomplish this? I just would find myself abandoning those practices. So if it was the center of a class, right, or a teaching, I would find myself abandoning that teaching, and there would really not be much movement for abundance work for me, or prosperity work in that area. And then something happened, and I had a huge aha. So for those of you out there that have experienced the same thing as me, where you get that this just does not ring true feeling in your body when you're trying to sum up the emotion that you would get from the thing that you'd like to attract, listen up. So I went on my honeymoon last month, and while we were on our honeymoon, my husband completely out. He planned everything. He's the planner between the two of us. I'm the have funner, and like I'm the hype person. Like I'll make it a good time, like I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna show up, but he does all the planning. So he outdid himself. When I tell you that this honeymoon was fabulous. We went to Cape Town, South Africa, and I had the time of my freaking life. And I stayed in the most fabulous, fabulous places. And oh my gosh, we stayed in 3 different locations, like, ooh, spoiled. The second place that we stayed, guys, I was like literally in a forest. It was called Glass House, and you are in a forest and like surrounded 360 by just the most gorgeous views. There's just like pool that's coming out of the deck with this gorgeous statue. Like literally ridiculous. But the first one did something to me. And all of this didn't come together in the moment. It was only when I came back and I put the pieces together, but we'll get there. Stick with me. So the first home Airbnb that we stayed in was this fabulous kind of like, I swear it's made for honeymoons, but it really is kind of a 1-bedroom house if you think about it, because it's multi-floored. It's 3 stories, but it's really like 1 bedroom and it's open. It's kind of like a loft style house. So everything's quite open. So the first floor is this wraparound balcony, huge at the back, smaller at the front, but wraparound balcony. We were right in front of Table Mountain, so we had this insane view. Okay, and we were high enough up that like we really felt elevated in the sky, and just like this insane view of this mountain. And it was like the living room and open kitchen on the first floor. Just the whole first floor was just a kitchen and a living room. But fabulous. I'm going to try not to swear. I have a potty mouth. I'm going to put that out there. So if I drop some bombs, please excuse me. I do not mean to offend, but my mother's Antiguan. We cuss. So it's all meant in good fun. So huge open concept layout. Okay. Gorgeous, huge, beautiful view. And then you go upstairs, and the whole second floor is the bedroom. When I say sexy, sexy, like just, it's all open so you can see, but we're high enough that like nobody can like see you, you know what I mean? But you can see out. So this crazy view continues from our bed, just nonsense. And then you go up to the 3rd floor and it's a rooftop pool. Fabulous. So let's now talk about freedom. So apparently for Robinson-Tiedemann, freedom is a ridiculous view and a rooftop pool and this open, expansive bedroom and lying in the bed and watching the sun rise and like this feeling of reach, just beauty all around me, openness, space. Like I felt like, oh, okay, so this is a representation. This is a preview. My honeymoon was a literal preview of everything I'm manifesting into my life. This is what this space felt like for me. And again, this wasn't conscious at the time. All I knew at that time was I was having the time of my life and my husband is the best. So we come back, and then when we come back, I jumped into the launching, the creating and the preparing for this podcast. So I knew that I was going to start the podcast before we left for my honeymoon. I thought maybe I'd even record while we were there, but that didn't, I was too busy just living my best life and really expanding. Oh, let me go back for a second. So the other thing that happened while we were on the honeymoon is that I leaned into relaxation and rest. For anyone that knows anything about human design, which I will again talk about at some other time, I will talk about human design with you. But in human design, I am a projector. And as a projector type, rest and relaxation and really feeling in our element and ease, a sense of ease in ourselves is very important for us. It's kind of where our creativity and our life force comes from. This is how we find that connection that makes us a guide. A projector is a guide. So I really need rest in my life. And also I kind of flourish in that. And it was very difficult for me as a person who, I live in New York City. I've been go, go, go. My masculine energy has been really cultivated in my life for various reasons. But, being kind of go, go, go it's something I have to unlearn. And when we were on vacation for 16 days, just relaxing, just having a good time, just dressing up and looking my absolute best, going out to dinner, being in a rooftop pool, getting cocktails, watching outdoor movie, like just being spoiled and fabulous and having the best time of my life with the most wonderful man on the planet, just doing that for 2 weeks straight, I got to experience rest and relaxation in a way that I have not. I cannot remember when I've done that. And I'm sure maybe in my youth there's been a time, but I don't remember a time when I've been able to do that. So I experienced a very deep level of what for me, I realize now feels like freedom. And then I came back. So we're back to where I just jumped back. I jumped into recording the podcast. And from episode 1, from the moment I pressed record and let my voice free, and a completely other level of expansion, glory, joy, soul alignment, and freedom was experienced. The thing is, until then, and until recording now, I didn't know that was the feeling. I didn't know that was the feeling. But I knew it was the feeling when I felt it. I have been on freaking cloud 9 ever since I started recording. And something else really cool has happened as a result of that, which we'll talk about in another episode. But tapping into my creativity, this is my calling. This is, at least right now, my soul has never felt more free, more aligned, more open, more gratified. I am on my life's path. Like if there were rainbows, stars, sparkles, like I feel like I'm walking in a Skittles commercial, okay? This is how I feel. That is freaking freedom. And it was when I sat and reflected on this. I was participating in a master class, and we were asked some prompting questions, and I sat and I journaled, and it was like boom, like it just hit me. Holy, you know what? That's freedom. That's the feeling. And in that recognition of the feeling, that lesson that I had learned years before, multiple times, snapped into place. And now I'm like, I know what abundance and prosperity feels like for me. So I can tell you, this has just been a short period of time, but I have been purposefully just basking in the feeling that's in my heart and buzzing through my body right now from the experience of my honeymoon, from that deep rest, from recording these podcasts. And I'm telling you, I have unlocked a portal to abundance. The full tangible manifestations are not here. Well, partially. We'll talk about that later too. But the synchronicities basically have been, nonstop. But this is the beginning. I'm telling you, I don't need to see it. I know it. I know what it feels like when I feel something, and I feel it. The portal has been opened. A pathway has been revealed, and I am in access. I am in reach of what abundance is for me. So if anybody has had trouble with those exercises, it's not that it doesn't necessarily work for you. It just doesn't quite work for you in that way. I believe that, when you're told, well, you know how to tap into that feeling, that's not always true. No, sometimes you don't know what the feeling is, and you won't know the feeling until you feel the feeling. One of the things that my coach had said to me one of my coaches had said to me that really had me kind of convinced, and it's a beautiful concept because in a lot of ways she's correct. But one of the things that she had said was, I know that you can tap into the high flying feeling of this because you can very easily tap into, if I tell you to imagine the worst case scenario, even though the worst case scenario hasn't happened yet, you can do it in a second. She's right, isn't she? Right? Like, so she's right. I can tap into the feeling of absolute dread, fear, terror, anxiety. I know how to tap into that. But at the same time, I have truly experienced, maybe not, my entire life falling apart, which is what we usually think of in worst case scenarios. Like everything's falling apart. I'm gonna die. I'm homeless. That's it. I'm homeless. I'm not saying it's like that, but I have felt terror, even whether it was just real or experience. I felt terror, I felt dread, and I felt anxiety, and I felt feeling, I felt it. And it has been from real life experiences. They might have been real life experiences that I'm perceiving out of proportion, but I felt it in my body. I didn't actually know what to tap into that I have felt in my body for freedom. I didn't know, but I do now. So for you guys, like me, if you're out there, this is what I suggest. Leave your mind open. Find move on to other strategies that might be working for you, but identify the thing, because you're going to be right about that. Somehow I knew it was freedom. I knew that's what I wanted to feel. I just didn't know what it felt like. Identify and write down the thing that they said. And the next thing that I want you to do is be open in your life, like an experiment. Open up your eyes and your body and everything in you to recognize as soon as you touch upon that feeling. So where it might have been helpful for me, it would have been helpful for me to write freedom somewhere, like on the fridge, on my mirror or something. Write down freedom, make it really pretty or something like that. So I can remind myself every day as I walk through my life to pay attention to if I stumble upon it, Even if you don't, you probably could stumble upon it, but I want you to be an investigator, because I don't think that I would have actually made this connection and been in this delicious place that I'm in right now of knowing exactly what that feels like if I wasn't being an investigator. So I'm not going to say that I was consciously doing the thing of like writing it on my mirror. Now I know, and that is something that I'm going to hone and that I'm going to share with other people. But I am in an investigation mode with my life. I am constantly doing my inner work. I am constantly analyzing and reflecting. I journal every day. I meditate every day. I check in with myself. I get quiet. So I do reflect. And it was actually in a conversation with one of my accountability partners that we realized what happened to me. So if you're in this curious work with yourself, get curious with yourself. Don't get down on yourself, because I did do that and it didn't help me. I kind of felt like, well, here's yet another exercise that doesn't work. You're just not meant to be abundant. Like, it's just not meant for you. That's what this is. You're just another reason that you're broken. Don't go that route. What I want you to do is just remember, okay, I know what I want to feel. And even though I haven't felt it yet, I can and I will. And I'm going to stay open to recognize the feeling when it comes. Because I promise you, if you're open to it, and I was open to it, whether it was conscious or unconscious, I have been open to the discovery. If you're open and curious with yourself in that way, you're going to stumble upon that feeling. You're going to stumble upon what it feels like to feel safe in some moment, with a conversation with a person, with, a book that you might have read, in a movie. You're going to stumble upon it. You're going to stumble upon, like, if your thing is like elation, you're going to stumble upon it in some way. I think that this is the same reason that why for some people, and just, I probably shouldn't say this. Okay, I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say it very clearly. Listen to me clearly. I am not telling anyone to go and do drugs. That is not what this is. So for anyone that says Christelle Robinson-Tiedemann told me to go and get high so that I could know what it felt like, you're wrong. And I have it right now. This is the proof. But I understand now why people have had, like, there's books about it, and studies about it, but why people have LSD trips or mushroom trips and stuff, and they experience a feeling for the first time and then know how to tap into that in their life. They've broken their depression, or they've lifted, something. I think sometimes this is the same reason that this happens in near-death experiences. People also feel a letting go, and then in that feeling of letting go, they felt, freedom. They felt a connection with everything. Maybe they were looking to feel connected to life. They felt the thing that they've been wanting to feel in that moment. And then they latched on, they recognized it. And when they came back into their life, they walked with that at the forefront. So this is what these couple of experiences have been for me, because I now know exactly what the freedom feels like for me. That is my delicious touchstone. So maybe it could be yours too. I truly hope that this was helpful. I love you all. And until next time, bye-bye.